This is Tony Paffel, and I will be going over my apps dev project MoodTastic. I would first like to explain what my project is and the purpose of this project. The project is an MVC PHP application that is set up as a blog where users can register, log in, and view posts and enter their mood and have the data saved and shown in the application. The application is pretty straightforward, and we can get into that in a little bit. What I want to go over next is the tools used to create this project. This is a project that has been worked on over the course of 2 semesters. The first semester, we had developed requirements and charts to represent the work. Not too fancy, but this is how my idea had started, and the project grew from here. We also started using Trello to track our progress, take notes, and keep updates. Then I moved on to creating a diagram of the database for my application using db.diagram, and also have been introduced to UXPin, where I created framework of the application. This was a good starting point. Another piece I should add in for my tools is that I created this on NetBeans IDE, used YouTube for some troubleshooting, and ChatGPT did become a pretty good friend. I originally started my project on Visual Studio because I liked the feel and how fast it worked. I built my entire framework and design on Visual Studio over winter break, and I was so excited to experiment with it and getting PHP to work on it, which I did get to work after a few extensions and some changes to some files, also some changes to Visual Studio settings, and I was ready to go until I started debugging and setting up the model. It became too many extensions for me, so I decided to go back to something that I have more experience with. So NetBeans it is. So this is my project. This is the index page. It talks about what MoodTastic is, why the data would matter from using the app, from the charts that you're going to see. And then you can go ahead and click the login, and it'll bring you here. You can also sign up. I think we're all pretty familiar with that. So we're just going to go ahead and sign in as Savvy. Savvy is an admin. So Savvy gets brought to this dashboard, and on this dashboard, she can go ahead and she can do a bunch of stuff. So she can add a post, she can add a user. I skipped over this, but she can manage the post, which if she wants to go ahead and edit this, she can go ahead and she can replace this photo, or she can change any of this. And she can also add a category, and she can also manage a category. So, and also same thing, she can edit. So there's a bunch of options for her to control what's going on with this website and the blogs and the users. We're going to take her back to the dashboard. Also, this is a fully responsive website, so when I change the size, it drops down here, which is really cool because, as you can see, it makes it easy to get around. And then these are the different columns, so you can tell that this is all one thing right here. Also has this to where you can get to the other pages. And then if you go smaller, that will go away too. So that's pretty neat. And then that's not supposed to happen, but we're going to roll with it because we're recording. And I'm going to show you, first I'm going to log out, and I want to show you what happens when you're not an admin. So we're going to go with Brina. I'm going to sign her in. So she can only add a post and manage her post. That's all she can do. So then when we go to the posts, you will see this article, which is, this page is actually really cool because the style in it's really neat. So when you go over one, it'll take the color away. I thought that was a pretty neat feature. Also, these buttons are from the database. This all comes from the database. And then when you go ahead, let's say you want to click on an article, you can read it. It'll show you who wrote it, the title, this, and you can also comment on this. So we are just commenting because we are cool. Then you can see that it just added the comment. And let's go back to post. I want to show you the responsive side of this. So this will drop down to here. And then if you get shorter, and also I have the footer. So these are all blank. It's just for looks for this application. But you have different things. So different links eventually that, you know, if you're really creating this website, you could hook them up to something. So then go back up here and let's go to the mood part. So this is about the user. And this is where the user enters in how they feel for the day, and then it gets sent onto this chart, which what I would like to do is do like a month at a time because then you can see it flow. So on this chart, you have your feeling level, your stress level, and your abuse level. You can take any one of these, and if you click them, they go on or off the chart. That way you can have a better view. Also, when you go over them, it'll tell you for that day what you have put in. So where it gets this information is actually from here. So right here, the user will go ahead and put in how they're feeling. So how are you feeling? How is your stress level? How would you rate your abuse level? Then we'll go ahead and save it. And so it added onto right here. So I made this to where you could only add your mood on one time per day. So when you click save, it's going to throw an error saying you have already made an entry today. Please try again tomorrow. So that's the mood part of this project, which actually I should get into some code and show you that now because that's a lot to cover. This was more than what I had anticipated it to be. It was harder than what I thought, but then after it all came together, it was great. So this is the JavaScript for this chart that you're seeing. So you set up some fake data, some mock data, and then this is the configuration. And when you go down to here, yeah, right here, so you're going to fetch the information from the user manager controller from out of the case statement. And it's going to grab all this information and it's just going to keep adding it on. And then here is where you can set more detail to the chart. Like you could have, like the title is white. You can do things like that. So this is all for the chart. And then since we're talking about the chart, I'll go into the index. So this right here is the code that the chart.js works with, the mood right here. So to explain this, first we're going to get the user's ID, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get all the moods from that current user. And then this code creates an array called mood data, which contains data about moods. It loops through another array called moods, and for each mood, it adds an array to the mood data with 3 values: the mood's feeling level, stress level, and abuse level. Then it converts the mood data array to a JSON string using the JSON encode function. The code also sets the headers to indicate that the content is JSON and allows cross-origin access. If there is a callback function provided in the request URL, it wraps the JSON data in the callback function and sends it back. Otherwise, it simply sends the JSON string to the client. This right here is, I don't really understand this. I can't explain this so much, but this was created from the code in here, and that's how it kind of sends it back and forth through the chart. That pretty much wraps up my application for MoodTastic. It's kind of crazy how fast I can go through and show the application, but how much work and how much time was actually put into this application. Looking back from the beginning to the end of this project, I realized that there really could be no end. This is a project that I could add so much more to, such as a search bar for the posts, or I could control more of the data for the charts. And another good feature that I still want to work on is taking the phase of the moon and working it in with the user's mood to see the relation with how the moon phase can affect someone's choices. I'm really appreciative that we took the time to narrow down our focus on what our goals were for the application. Even though we had broken down the application, I missed a couple of things, such as first off, when I wanted to make this application, it didn't faze me that we had never worked with or created a chart before. So when I started working on that part of the application, it definitely caught me off guard. But I managed to work through it and figure it out by using the resources that I had. And as Renee would say, if you can say it, you can code it. If there was anything that I would do differently, I would say there are some things, yeah, but for the most part, I think I went about it the right way. I had started off doing this over winter break, and I think that helped me tremendously because I had everything together except the back end part of the project. One thing I feel I should have done is comb through more carefully what exactly I had entailed in this project, the chart specifically. And I also had underestimated this project by thinking, oh, it's just a blog. Found out that there's a lot to just a blog. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my project.